Hey, this is Fred Green with Golf Smarter Mulligan's number 105 and the 8th in our series with the lessons from one of the most unsung heroes of golf instruction, Tony Manzoni, who passed away in 2018. Even though Tony had tremendous success with the men's golf program at College of the Desert and that he instituted the golf management program there, he didn't focus on men's golf only. Tony had tremendous respect for the women's game and also spent a lot of time working with children who were exceptional golfers and had a future in the professional game. At one point in this conversation, we talk about some young players that he was working with. He mentions that he sent me some videos of their swings, and unfortunately, I can't find them anymore, so I can't share them with you today. But it's that work with young people that was behind our motivation to create a tax-deductible fund at the first tee of Coachella Valley, home of College of the Desert, in his memory. To learn more about making a contribution and about Tony Manzoni, please visit our dedicated webpage at golfsmarter.com/Tony. The book, The Lost Fundamental, One Simple Move, Better Golf Forever, is available on Amazon in paperback and Kindle, and his DVD of the same name can only now be seen online through our private channel. To gain access, just click on the Hey Fred button at golfsmarter.com.
Welcome to Golf Smarter Mulligans, your second chance to gain insight and advice from the best instructors featured on the Golf Smarter podcast. Great golf instruction never gets old. Our interview library features hundreds of hours of game improvement conversations like this that are no longer available in any podcast app.
We all get nervous, we all get anxious, and that never goes away, and hopefully never will, because adrenaline is a good thing if you use it properly. But if you set up to the ball properly, whether you're hitting the ball, chipping the ball, whatever, now your body dictates the distance the ball is going to go by its rotation and tempo. You can fine-tune this thing really quick, opposed to trying to time your hands, when they turn over, how fast they turn over, and so forth. And those are the things that the modern swing, even though this is not really a modern swing, but it's a modern way of teaching. You watch the tour now. You look at the guys when they step up to the ball. You don't see anybody way behind the ball in the dress anymore. There was a guy by the name of Jerry Hogan that said, I want you to stand above the ball but not behind it. And that's a great statement.
With another interview from the archives of Golf Smarter, here's your host, Fred Green.
I'm curious to go back to this tournament that the two of you played together, because recently in a conversation with Mark Brody about Every Shot Counts, his book, and we were talking about golf metrics and how he's saying that statistics show that the drive for show, putt for dough is actually backwards, that you really, if you hit the ball longer and farther, you're going to have lower scores. Well, I should say longer and straighter. You're going to have lower scores because you're coming into the green with shorter irons, which are going to increase your chances of hitting the green. What was the key? What is it about you guys not hitting the ball far? But you got a hole in one. But what is it that beat them, and what can we learn from that?
What really happened? I kind of after the first tee shot, which was mediocre at best. I kind of felt something. It was like a little pre-cocked position at address. And you know how things happen. And I started, because I was playing from the senior tees, I started keeping it up with this fellow, and on occasion even knocked it past him. And I think I rattled him a little bit because, on the first tee shot, he got me by at least 50 yards. So that was part of it. And then my iron play just got stupid good. I was just drilling it in there. And I was truthfully laughing to myself, like, when is this bubble going to burst? And just to think about this, how about going hole-in-one birdie? Okay. Usually you go hole-in-one triple bogey because
right.
You're excited. But I guess I kind of got out of my own way, and it was an overdrive, and I got that feeling that no matter what I did, it was going to be good. And that they call that the zone, But I have a 15 or 20-foot putt, bam, in the hole. 10-foot putt, bam, in the hole. 5-foot putt, bam, in the hole. They just went crazy. And then when I got a little bit conscious of it, when you shoot under 30, and then went to the other side, I had started with a par. I had 8 holes to go. I had a tough time because I was conscious. I wanted to shoot some, your ego gets so blown out of proportion. Like I say, I think I was 1 under or something like that. But that 1-9 was magic. It was just, I thought, well, this is what it must feel like to be Tiger Woods or whoever, because, it was just simple. It was just absolutely simple. Getting back to what you said about something, I'd like to bring something up from my past. Years ago, I was training some ladies on the LPGA when I was at Mission Hills, and because they had the Kraft Nabisco at that time, and I became a big fan of ladies golf because I saw how great they hit the golf ball, but they couldn't hit it very far compared to a man. And I started thinking about it way back when they had a tournament. I can't even remember the name of it, but it was a man and a woman against a man and a woman. So just for the fun of it, I started using the computer and looking at the distance that women hit the drive and also the second shot. And when I looked at what the ladies' tour was, hardly anybody was reaching par 5s and 2, and they were hitting long irons and sometimes fairway woods to the par 4s. Well, the men were hitting drives, 8 irons, 7 irons right in there all the time, and the long hitters were a lot of, with the par 4s, you drive and wedge. So I compiled a distance advantage that I thought women should have over men, and I wanted to set up a men tournament, a women against men tournament. And we came up with 75-yard distance. And I knew Sandra Palmer and some of the gals from the Nabisco and told them about it. And we went over to a golf course. And at that time, I could pop it out there 300 yards plus. So I played from the back tees, and then I moved the gals up 75 yards. And we hit our tee shots. And, well, heck, they were still ahead of me, even if I busted it, because they needed to be, because they needed to hit. If I was going to hit an 8-iron, I hit an 8-iron at that time about 165, 170. They would have to be able to hit an 8-iron from their distance, probably about like 150 or 145. So they needed that distance advantage also in the second shot. So it worked out great, and we played 9 holes, and they were all, 5 under, and they, very excited. 31s, 32s for par 36. So I got some people interested in my concept, and they said, well, we'll fund that. It's Culinary Workers Union. And I went to the PGA with the idea. And I can't think of the name of the guy. Then he was a bricklayer. He was an attorney with glasses. And he immediately said, no, we would never do that because we have nothing to gain. So I came back with my tail between my legs, and I met with Commissioner Ray Volpe, who was the commissioner for the LPGA at the time. And we talked about it, and I said, well, there is one chance we could do the thing in December when there is no tour. We could do it like an old twerk dance. We'll have the gals invite the guys. So my friends that were sponsoring the thing, the Hotel Workers Union, they got the Doral Country Club. And we had the gals invite, Sandra Palmer invited, Arnold Palmer. And anyway, we had Trevino Palmer. We had everybody. And we did this tournament. And it was a rousing success. Didn't have it on regular television. We had it on PBS. But, everybody really enjoyed the event. But they didn't play men against women. But they did give the gals a 75-yard distance advantage. The second year, Frank Sinatra, who I knew very well, said, I'd like to sponsor that tournament. And I'll bring Sears Roebuck in, which he did. And, long story short, just before the tournament was going to be announced, Mr. Sinatra's mom was in a jet plane to go see him in Vegas, and they flew right into the Santa Rosa Mountains here in the desert. Wow. She died, and he had to back out of the tournament, and, of course, Sears went with him. So there I am now, and I had spent more money than I had trying to promote this thing and make the appearance of success, fancy car, clothes, so because I was meeting with the Actors Equity which was one of Mr. Sinatra's charities, and it's for actors that are down on their luck. They either pay for their medical bills or so forth. Well, when I got the word from Mr. Sinatra's people that he couldn't announce, obviously, when Mom died and all that. LPGA grabbed the tournament with the PGA, and they had waiting in the wings. They had J.C. Penney's, and that's when it became the J.C. Penney's Mixed Team Championship. And out of I think they played somewhere in Florida, like Tampa or someplace like that. It was on TV for about 14 years. And everybody said, well, you got to sue. That was your idea, and you have all this paperwork. And I said, look, I was trying to promote ladies golf. I don't give a damn about suing anybody. I feel like I should have been, given a pat on the back or a gold watch or something. But the key thing that I'm bringing this up about is not so much that I lost the tournament and everything, but the disparity between men and women's golf is distance. Mm-hmm. It's not ability. Believe me when I tell you, the gals can hit the hell out of the golf ball, and they can. I think there's a few gals out there that I'll put against the men in putting any day. But you can't overcome the distance. And when Michelle Wee was coming out when she's 14 and doing so well, and people were saying she's going to go on the tour, they interviewed me, and I said, look, I could go lift weights for 10 years. And then you put me in a cage with a bear or a lion or whatever, and they're going to tear me apart. That's nature. And although Michelle Lee is a wonderful little gal and she hits the ball really good, she can't compete with a man. I mean, don't be stupid. That's all that garbage. And I think the people that were pushing that hurt her. They put a lot of pressure on that girl. And I'm so happy to see her playing great golf again. But there's a distance difference. And when you say, is there an advantage hitting long? Sure there is. Of course there is. If I've got an 8 iron into the green and you've got 4 iron into the green and we're somewhat the same, I'm going to beat your brains out. I mean, it just goes it's just science. I mean, it's just math. And it's an easier shot. So you're absolutely right when you say that does mean something. But distance isn't everything. And that was proven this year when we were in the regional championship. I had a boy that could hit it 340 off the tee with no doubt, but we played a real tight little golf course where you can't hit driver. They just the designer just love you to hit driver so you can knock it out of bounds. And that's exactly what happened. On one hole, he hit 3 drives out of bounds. So that's craziness. There is a point where you have to look at what the hole is, and then you have to say, okay, this is what I must do. I'm going to take double and triple and all that out of play by doing this. That's managing yourself on the golf course. That's what I try to teach my players. Sometimes they listen, and sometimes they don't. But distance is an advantage to a point.
So now on the women's tour, we have an 11-year-old who's making headlines.
Yeah, isn't that crazy? It's wonderful, actually. It's really wonderful.
Tell me what you know about her and what you've seen and what your thoughts are about someone who can compete at that level at that age.
Well, I saw that she had won the pitch and putt thing, or was one of the winners at Augusta, and then turns around and gets on the tour or gets in a qualifier for the U.S. Open and makes it for the ladies. It doesn't surprise me, Fred. I've got a 15-year-old by the name of June Jang that's on my video. I started her when she was a little past 12. And recently she played in a major event in, it was called the Silver Bell event, I think in Phoenix somewhere. And she shot 74, 64, 70 against 26-year-olds. And just recently she played in the Golf Week magazine tournament. The previous year she had shot 67, 71 to win it. And this year she shot 75 with a triple, par 5, which she tried to go into when there's water on both sides, and she learned a good lesson. But then she came back with 68. And she said, Coach, I hit every green. And she said, I missed so many putts I could have had 59 today. And it wouldn't shock me if she said, Coach, I shot 59 today. That's how good these kids are nowadays. What they're doing is, when it used to take us 10 years, they're compressing that into a year. because they're practicing every single day. They got a wedge or a putter in their hand all the time. They're not thinking about music, hairdos, nothing. All they're thinking about is how to get the ball in the hole. There's a mindset out there with a lot of young kids that just love the sport. But it's like what happened when the Beatles came out. Every mom and dad wanted to give their kid a guitar to learn because they saw a chance for fame. And I think that's what's happening. Young people are starting to really discover golf. And, you're like a rock star, for God's sakes, if you're really good in golf, if you're a star. We see in the men's tour, well, the same thing's going to happen to the women's. The women's will never be as popular as men's because that's just how life is. But if you want to see quality golf, you watch the women play. It's unbelievable. And they're getting longer. And when you read these stories about 11-year-olds making it, it's just great for golf and women's golf especially. But more importantly, it's great for juniors, for a kid to see, my God, an 11-year-old make it. Mom, get me a wedge. Buy me a set of clubs. We know that it takes a lot of hard work, and you have to be a special kind of person to get it all the way to the tour. But this is such a great sport. It's such a great sport for a kid. It's a lifelong sport. It teaches you so many great lessons. And hey, every now and then out of a batch of kids, you get one that's so special. June is to me. I mean, she's like my daughter. I mean, I just adore her. And she is such a hard worker. I had a couple of big universities call. I don't want to mention their names, but they're already looking at her, and she's a sophomore. It's fantastic. So it didn't surprise me. I mean, it did a little bit, but I didn't say, "Oh my God, that's not possible," because it is possible.
Sure.
When you go to some of these AJGA events and some of the things that the PGA does, and those they should be so thanked for doing that. And you see the talent that's out there. It's mind-boggling. I've got a 7-year-old that I'm teaching right now, and I want to tell you something. He's got as correct a golf swing as anybody on tour. I mean, when I say it's perfect, it's perfect. And he beats the ball out there way farther than a 7-year-old should hit it. And what's he going to be doing when he's 15 or 16 if he continues this? And all he can think about it, he watches the Golf Channel. He doesn't watch SpongeBob. It's crazy. It's crazy, and I love it. I just love it.
So the 15-year-old, if I'm not mistaken, is it Jiyun Zhang?
Jiyun Zhang, and she's on my video, and the swing that she had is tighter and better than it was then. It was pretty darn good then.
Because at the end of 2013, you sent me a couple of video clips of her swing, and I will definitely put those up on the blog post with this show. But you also sent me the video of the 7-year-old boy. What's his name?
Ivan Tran.
Ivan Tran. Okay, I'll put those up so people can see what you're talking about. Because you can see their swing. They're short videos. They're real quick. It's just the kid swing, but you see the swing.
All you have to do is you just look at the swing and say, "Holy mackerel!"
Yeah.
How the heck did he do that? And in Ivan's case, I can't take credit for his swing because he watched the Golf Channel and copied it. And so when his dad came to me and said, "Would you help my son?" and I hadn't seen him hit the ball in the range because every time he comes out there, he draws a crowd. I said, "You've done a great job with him." He said, "Oh, he won't listen to me anymore." I cracked up at 7 years old, But the truth is, the dad doesn't play golf, and the kid knows that. So I've had such. I mean, I want to tell you something. I would pay to give this kid lessons, and I don't charge kids, but I would pay to give this little kid lessons because it's looking at a phenomenon in the future. I mean, this kid's going to do something in golf. It's going to be crazy, and he putts and chips like a pro. I mean, already he gets on the putting green, and you'll see all people putting, and everybody stops because they see him roll one after another, a 20-footer, one right after another, bam. And I just sit there and just watch. The ball just keeps going in the hole. And he thinks that's what's supposed to happen. It's fabulous. It really is fabulous.
Well, so I've always been fascinated by young people who come up on the tour because it's golf is well beyond physical skills. There's the mental aspect. There's the emotional aspect of dealing with the pressure of a Sunday round. And, I'm thinking a 7-year-old, he's going to bang it away. He doesn't even know or understand what it means to have the pressure on, with all the eyes watching and got to make this putt. How is the mental side these kids can hit balls like crazy all day long, but put them on a golf course in competition. What happens then?
Oh, Ivan's played in a number of tournaments, which he's won or been in second place.
Yeah, but he's competing against 7-year-olds, right?
Yeah, of course. Yeah. But this is the thing that I think that is happening. Like this 11-year-old, they see they can do it, they enjoy doing it, and they love people watching them do it. So they don't have the insecurities and the feelings, well, can I beat this? They don't even think that way. It's a totally different way of thinking. And I think it's just the era we're in, the kids are out of their shell really early because of television and whatever. And think back when you were a kid, and things you did and what's happening today, because of and I don't think it's all good, don't get me wrong, but because of Facebook and everything, everyone is more involved in the social aspect. So people have a tendency to be a little bit more, they're not so self-conscious. And, I was such a wallflower. I remember going to a dance when I was a sophomore, and I was literally stuck against the wall, afraid to ask anybody to dance. That doesn't occur anymore. That doesn't occur anymore because of the exposure that they have to everything. So kids don't have that fear that I think we had, because that's just how it was.
Well, they're in front of cameras a whole lot more than we ever were. There's no pictures of me growing up, but every young person I know, and I'm talking under 10, is so comfortable in front of a camera because there's pictures being taken every few minutes.
Yeah, and this is, this period of time now is where people are showing off a lot. They're showing off the way they look, the way they dress. Everyone's conscious of all these things. So I'm not saying that there aren't a few kids that still walk around hung up on this and hung up on that, but the majority are much more confident. I know than when I was a kid. Of course, I went to parochial school, and it was pretty strict. But these kids nowadays, the boys that come in my programs, they're already, they've had experiences in their life that I didn't have until I was in my 30s, some good, some bad, but they've just been exposed to a hell of a lot more than I was. And so consequently, they think more adult. They have more adult feelings in the sense of what they think about themselves. And I can tell you, if I tell Ivan, hey, come on, I want you to hit a drive for my boys' golf team, he can't wait to show them that he hits it better than them. He can't wait.
Let's get back to mechanics for a minute, because I wanted to ask you, because it's been asked of me about your methods. The swing for your short game, for pitching and chipping, and not full swing. How is that impacted by what your method is?
Well, the chipping method has always been that you play off. If you're right-handed, you put the majority of your weight on your left side, so that falls right back into what we're doing. And modern-day chippers are less handsy. They're more arm, shoulder, weight left, and then a small rotation. And the rotation gets bigger for the longer the shot. But there's a rotation, so they keep the arms connected, and it's still a body movement opposed to just the arms. Not to say that you can't do it with just the arms, but again, when you're using arms and hands, you're bringing in the opportunity for the hands to overwork, or for you to decelerate your arms. Where you stay connected and you turn through it, the club is moving along with the body, so there's no hit to the ball kind of thing. You have to be on the left side for sure, because you want the club to be coming down when it strikes the golf ball. So that's part of it. It's not difficult for sure. It's not difficult. So I think chipping.
Go ahead. I'm sorry to interrupt.
I was just going to say, and then of course I teach the Paul Runyon type of chip stroke. So chipping, where you're on the fringe and shortcut of the grass, you're going to do that with 7 and 8, 6 irons. You're not going to be using sandwich and those kind of shots. Pitching when you're in the further back and heavier grass where the club has to come up down, but you're still on the left side. That's just more of what I say, a body swing. Now, the real chipping, where you set up to the ball and you take the heel of the club off the ground, so you put it up on its toe. And the reason you do that is because you want to get the shaft in the same position as your putter shaft, so you get your eyes right down over the ball. Then you're just using an arm swing with a flat left wrist, very similar to your putting stroke. And that should be done around the green. Put away your wedges around the green. You want to hit the ball and let it release and roll to the hole. You don't want to try to put backspin on all that. It's just silliness. But when you're pitching the ball from a distance, 30 yards, 40 yards, then you have to use a miniature rotary motion, just like you do with the full swing. Real simple.
Oh yeah, sure, real simple.
No, it really is. Honestly, for those of you that have chipping problems or anything like that, you ever come to the desert, I'll get rid of them in 5 balls. I mean, I promise you. I don't care if you scoop it right at the bottom or anything. I teach some PE classes, beginners, and I get a lot of these people have never touched a golf club in their life, and in a very short period of time, everybody's got that handle ahead of the ball at impact, and it looks great, but it's not hard to do. But it's hard to do if you're trying to keep your wrist flat and your body still and your head still and you're pushing your arms. Then it's really hard. Then you're sculling them across the green all day long. But that's not the action. You have to set up properly and you have to understand what the movement is. But then once you get the movement, it's really simple.
Most of the time I see the mistakes that happen for chipping is that people hit 3 or 4 inches behind the ball. And then the club head bounces.
That's because they're staying behind the ball. They're not moving through the ball, number one. Or they're trying to scoop under the ball, try to get under the ball and make it go up. You'll hear people say, they'll scull and say, I didn't get under that one. Well, you don't get under it. You have to hit down on it. And the ball hits the face of the club, slides up the face, and then goes up in the air. But you don't scoop the club underneath. The only shot that I know that you go underneath like that is a sand shot when you lay the club back. But people try to do that. They feel like they have to help it up, and so in scooping, to scoop, you have to uncock your wrist. Your left wrist gets really cocked, and the blade goes up. So that's the banana, But it's easily fixed. Once you don't say don't scoop your wrist. You just show them a movement where the wrists don't scoop. You explain how the thing really works, and then it's really easy. The problem is that a lot of teachers that teach say don't do this. Well, no, you see you scooped it or you did this, and so they're still fixated on that movement instead of getting them to do the movement that eliminates that. But really, honestly, if anybody wants to chip, they can go on any website. There's so many guys out there that are saying exactly what I say because it's not a secret. And keep in mind the tour is constantly looking for the easiest way to do these things, not the hardest. So if you copy Mickelson or those kind of people, you'll see that they have a process that they repeat over and over again.
But why? That's where more strokes are lost, I think, inside the 30-yard area than anything else.
There's no question about it. Yeah, no question about it. One of the parts of my formula for the golf team is that you got to be able to get it up and down from 50 yards and in. You just got to be able to do that. If you're serious about being a competitive golfer, you have to be able to do that. And it sounds really hard, but it's really not, because once you have a motion that is consistent And then you just can dial in the rotation of your body for the distance. When you do it with your hands, now, your nerve endings are at the end of the fingers, and we all get nervous, and we all get anxious, and that never goes away, and hopefully never will, because that's a good thing. Adrenaline is a good thing if you use it properly. But if you set up to the ball properly, whether you're hitting the ball, chipping the ball, whatever, now your body dictates the distance the ball is going to go by its rotation and tempo. Well, you can fine tune this thing really quick, opposed to trying to time your hands, when they turn over, how fast they turn over, and so forth. And those are the things that the modern swing, even though this is not really a modern swing, but it's a modern way of teaching. You watch the tour now. You look at the guys when they step up to the ball. You don't see anybody way behind the ball at address anymore. There was a guy by the name of Jerry Hogan that said, "I want you to stand above the ball, but not behind it," and that's a great statement. And that's with the driver or anything else.
Interesting.
You're going to have to come down and bring your wedge, a suitcase, a toothbrush, and a wedge.
It's going to be a long weekend. Okay, suitcase, a toothbrush, and a wedge. Well,
yeah, maybe the 8 hours so that I can show you the run-up shot too.
I'll bring the putter, and we'll just play the entire round with 3 clubs. How's that?
Yeah, there you go. Absolutely.
That'll be interesting. I'd probably score the same.
Probably.
Oh, Tony, well, listen, I hope you have a full recovery. I'm so sorry about your accident, and I know that I haven't asked in a while. How old are you now?
I'm 77.
Oh, my gosh.
But well, right now, when I had the accident, I felt 97.
Yeah, I bet.
Because you're all of a sudden you say, "Oh, I'm falling now because I'm old." But what happened to me? If I was 15, I would have got the same result, unfortunately, because the golf course. I wonder what will happen if another member gets down there where I was and tries to walk up that hill and slips. The result's going to be very similar, because it shouldn't be that steep anywhere near the green. But that's another story. I know a lot of people say, "Well, are you going to sue?" And I'm not a suing type. I think God had that plan for me to teach me patience, because I get a little impatient. My girlfriend is looking at me now, kind of nodding her head. So anyway, I have to look at it as it gave me some time to stop working 7 days a week, and I caught up on every TV show that exists, for sure. But
that's
anyway,
not something. That's not something you want to brag about.
No, it's behind me now, and like I say, once I get through therapy, I'll be kicking and running again, just like I always do.
Just like you always do, and dragging that team with you across the finish line ahead of everybody else.
Hopefully, we can keep that up, baby.
Oh, amazing. All right, Tony. Well, it was great to talk to you again. Thank you so much for giving us your time. The Golf Smarter community loves you. We'll always love you. And again, the book and the DVD, The Lost Fundamental by Tony Manzoni, you're not going to find it anywhere else. Really, you can look everywhere on the web. You're only going to find it here. And so, and that's why you're getting such the response from people all over the world. So,
well, I just want to thank everyone listening and leave them this thought that to please continue supporting Fred. You are the voice of golf, as far as I'm concerned, and I think you're doing a wonderful, wonderful thing for a lot of people.